You don't have to get old books to make them worthwhile books. You don't have to own every single copy of an author or written by one author in order to have an enriching library. Hello, welcome back, and today is another Charlotte Mason video, and this time I need to talk to you about books, specifically old books. One of the things that I am noticing more and more frequently, and you know what, I have to say that this was even a issue in my day growing up, was the fact that when you are getting good literature, suddenly you need to go and spend hundreds of dollars in providing your children an enriching bookcase. You know, these books that are going to enhance their virtue, their moral, their life, and at the expense of everything else, food, clothing, shelter, you will put all of your efforts into creating a very classic and excellent book library. This is not a good idea, folks. Alright, so here are just a couple of the old books that I have, and so you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? Don't you have a stack right here in your hand? Are you being a little, calling the kettle black here? No, I'm not. Let me explain. No, that'll take too long. Let me summarize. So, that's actually a very popular word in my vocabulary. Let me talk to you about books and living books and old books and reading and living books and twaddle free, and let's just get on and talk books. I am seeing what could potentially be a huge issue and a huge error in the Charlotte Mason education when it comes to finding good enriching books. I am seeing a lot of people that have no idea about the content of the book. They see old something and then they purchase it, and then they're like, okay, I spent $60 on this. Was this a good find? And I want to say, you put how much money into maybe a good find? I'm really, really concerned about this. And you know what? Just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it's worth the money. I have an old German copy of Heidi, and I paid, I think, $1.50 for it at a used book sale. But I knew what it was, I knew the content, and I can't read German, so why did I purchase this book? My husband reads German, and it's actually, I believe, what the original language of Heidi was written in. There's another issue with buying old books or classic books or whatever, and this is something that my mom and I have discussed, and she said was a problem in her day. And what that is you would find an author, L.M. Montgomery. She wrote Anne of Green Gables, the very popular Anne of Green Gables. But my mom didn't go and purchase the very first edition of Anne of Green Gables. Neither did she purchase every single book that L.M. Montgomery wrote. She wasn't going to spend that kind of... Basically, she just had a price that she was willing to pay. Not only that, there were some exceptions, but not only that, it had to be a quality author, read, whatever. It wasn't just, here's an author, I need every single thing that this author wrote. I'm trying to think of other examples, but I can't. The point is, you're not going to say, hey, I made this gamble of $60 to buy this book. Is this a good read? That is not wise decision. Go with what you know. You don't have to make sure that you are buying. You don't need to find a first edition copy of This Country of Ours. You don't need it. You can quite easily take the latest printing in the Little House on the Prairie series. You can go to Barnes and Nobles and buy, the Secret Garden and Little Princess and Little Lord Fauntleroy. They can be new copies, that's fine. Or you can go and get a 1980s, kind of cheap and disgusting paperback book from the thrift store for 25 cents. It's okay. The point is the content. It's not how it looks. Don't get me wrong. This is gorgeous. This is not $200 gorgeous. It is better, and especially this, okay? Okay, look. Even if you get a really good copy, let's say Heidi. Okay, I think I even have, okay, so this was $5. Alright, and I think this is at my local bookstore. Look. I'm not going to give this to my 9-year-old and say, go enjoy this book. But you have to be very careful with it. This is very delicate. This was printed in, this doesn't even have a printing date in it. I'm not, like I said, I would rather have my daughter get a 25-cent, 50-cent book that I can find at a thrift store and give that to her, and you know what, if she's really into it and can't put it down but I need her and she does the unthinkable, I'd rather her do that because she doesn't want to leave the book and doesn't want to try to forget or try to remember where she was. Yeah, she can put a bookmark in it, but you know what, she's going to rush, do what I told her to do, and rush back and try to pick up her book again. I would rather spend the 50 cents and have a book that would get ruined than to be like, take care of this precious thing. Well, we got off on a tangent there, and I'm not going to be able to do that again. But anyway, you get the gist. Give her a 50-cent book. Don't have them worry so much about this. If this is a read aloud, yeah, I will use this copy. And as you can tell, it's going to be a read aloud. Alright, you don't have to spend a lot of money. This is Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. If you like Jane Austen, Bronte sisters, Gaskell's kind of among them. This is probably one of my oldest ones. I won't let my daughter read this because it's kind of more of an adult book. Not in content. In content. Lamplighter book. These are very, well, these are classics and they're being reprinted. This one is Jessica's First Prayer. I was so excited when I found this because I remember reading Jessica's First Prayer when I grew up. It was 10 cents. I picked this up for 10 cents. Even of Philadelphia, again, another old James Otis. Robin Hood and His Merry Men, retold by Sarah Sterling. See, this is probably, here's another Cranford that I literally picked up at the library this past, spring. I paid $3 for it. It was in much better condition than my older one. Okay, another old book, and I have more, okay? These aren't it. And then this one is Rusty Wants a Dog. I think this is 25 cents at the thrift store. It's an old reader book for children. Okay, this isn't, this isn't a book haul. Okay, so I showed you all these old books, so what is my point? My point is that there is a lot of that the only book worthwhile is an old one that you spend a good amount of money on. That's not the case. The case is what conversations you are having with your children as a result of what they are reading, whether it is you reading to them or them reading on their own. And a living book, a good education, a twaddle free. What is twaddle? Okay, can we just stop and think about that? Twaddle is, okay, we want, twaddle. I was talking about twaddle. There we go. I figured it out. Twaddle is mainly just things that we're dumbing down so that the children can understand. That it's not the same as trying to, okay, for example, if I handed my 9-year-old daughter Cranford, a lot of it would go over her head and she wouldn't enjoy it. It's more of it would be like handing her Pride and Prejudice. Okay, she might get something here and there and kind of laugh, but she's going to relate, the word I'm looking for, she's going to relate with a book on her own level, like Secret Garden. Okay, so what I know I could beat this dead horse forever, and I've already been interrupted I don't know how many times, but the gist is just try to be easy on yourself and don't necessarily worry about doing everything right. Don't necessarily go out and see something and because it's old, purchase it. If you don't know anything about it, then don't worry about it. You're going to go along in life and you'll probably learn more about certain authors. And that's going to be okay. And that's going to be good. But you don't have to, basically, I'm repeating myself, but you don't have to just buy something because it's old. You don't have to spend an obscene amount of money because it's a worthwhile book. You don't have to get all of these, first editions of Paddle to the Sea. Okay? You don't have to get first editions of anything. You don't even have to try and find all these philosophical books. You're sitting down with your children. You're wanting to have a good education. You're wanting to spark good morals, good values. This is all good. This is not anything wrong. I'm going to stab myself. But there was an excellent quote that was said, don't neglect today's books because today's books are tomorrow's classics. That doesn't necessarily mean I want my daughter reading Twilight. The grammar in those are horrible. But it also doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to neglect all the books that are out today. Or that we're only going to have pre-1950s books on the shelf. When you are starting to fill your bookshelves up with good reading material, twaddle-free living books, anything that you think is Charlotte Mason approved, then you need to ask these questions. Is this really worth my time and money in investing in this? Is this book going to really benefit my family enough to be worth the cost? Or am I just taking a leap of faith here? That is something very valuable to ask. It also means that sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes there really is a good book out there that you really do want, but the answer is no. You don't need it that bad. Alright. I hope this was a good video for you. It's definitely something that it is something that I thought I would be projecting differently. That I would be, I have all these conversations in my head on how I want this to go and how smoothly everything is going to be, and then you get interruptions and you get breaking the train of thought. Or I can't pick up that camera that second that all these thoughts are coming to my head and sit down and film. I just can't do that. So I hope this video kind of gave you a breather gave you some thoughts. Don't think of me as a teacher with a ruler coming at you and rapping on your knuckles. I am here to encourage you that you don't have to get old books to make them worthwhile books. You don't have to own every single copy of an author or written by one author in order to have an enriching library. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good library. Okay, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. I love those thumbs up because I look at them to see what kind of content I should put out. And if you're new here, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button or my face that's going to pop up anytime now. And you will be notified in your subscription feed when I have a new video posted. And until next time, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Don't let it fall apart while you're in. Stop! You're ruining the moment. And don't. Go away! You're ruining the moment. I'm not going to be able to be straight faced anymore. Think of something sad. This is going to have to be an outtake.